Good afternoon. Very nearly. It's 11:59 on my clock. We've gone early. And welcome to Team Brief. I'm Dave Sowell and I'm the Acting Chief Executive. I'm joined by an eclectic mix today. I've got Andrew Clegg, the Associate Director for Nursing and AHP Development. I've got Mitchell Speed, the Project Support Officer and LGBTQ+ Staff Network Chair. I've got Natalie Boxall, the Specialist Midwife for Infant Feeding, and I've got Jean Frew, E-Learning Development Officer. And you can see that we're going to talk today around Celebrating Excellence, an event that we're hosting. We're going to talk about Pride and celebrating Pride, and then we're going to give a bit of an update around e-learning or so. And of course, we're delighted to be joined by Debs on the decks, who's keeping us all under control. So it's now 12 o'clock, so I can officially say good afternoon on this sunny afternoon. So I've got a few updates to just bring you around what's been happening across the organisation. So obviously, as we all know, we had the general election last Thursday, and we've now delighted that PERDA, or that pre-election period, as it's called, it has ended when the NHS has to be extraordinarily careful about making any sort of statements that could be deemed to be political. So that's now ended with the formation of the government or new government. The only thing that we as an organisation were impacted about PERDA that I'm aware of is around our electronic patient record, our EPR business case, which was or currently is with the Treasury and Cabinet Office around funding, and of course nothing could be announced or progressed during that period of time. So hopefully that will now progress, and we'll hear in the next few weeks about that. In terms of then the rest around the general election, obviously there's been quite a lot of change. So we've got our 4 local MPs now. We recognise and know some of them well, and then we've got some new MPs. We have written to them all to just say congratulations on your appointment and to invite them into the organisation. It's really important that we keep or have a relationship with our MPs. Many of the problems we need their help, and many of their problems they need our help. And often their constituents will approach them when they're perhaps not getting the answers that they want from us as an organisation. So we do have quite regular contact. But just to update you in case you haven't heard, so Lee Anderson, who we know pretty well, has been elected for Ashfield. He's obviously a Reform candidate when he left the Conservative Party in the midst of the last time. So he's been elected. Michelle Walsh is the Sherwood Forest candidate, and she's a Labour candidate, so she's new to us, and we're delighted to meet her. Robert Jenrick, he's the Newark candidate, and again, we know him from old. He was re-elected. He's Conservative candidate for Newark. And then Steve Yem, who's the MP, the Labour MP now, newly elected Labour MP for Mansfield. So I'm sure you've heard most of that, but obviously we'll try and get to meet and talk to these MPs as much as we can. Just a few other updates. So we've obviously at the moment we've in a period of industrial action with MediRest, and that further period of strike action commenced yesterday early morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it goes through all week for 5 days until 6 o'clock on Saturday, the 13th of July. And then following that, there's action short of strike action, so that's work to rule, and overtime ban will be occurring for 2 more days. Robson Cox, Director of People, and I went down to the picket line. There's quite a big picket line, certainly at the Kingsmill site. We've had picket lines at all of the other sites, but we went down yesterday just to check on their well-being and make sure that they're okay and that there was still good access into the organisation. I believe there are some hardy souls out there today in the rain that we currently have. So we obviously recognise the value and the vital role that our MediRest colleagues undertake. This is a dispute between the GMB union and MediRest, and again we're a bit caught in the midst of this. The industrial action is only be taken by those directly employed by MediRest and doesn't actually include any of our staff colleagues, and we would hope that resolution is reached between the two sides in a timely way. Which brings us back to the sort of election and the government, who are obviously meeting with the British Medical Association today to hopefully make some progress with the resident doctors or junior doctors strike, which has been going on for well over a year now. So that's the first update. Second update is just something around our temporary pharmacy. So we've moved the temporary pharmacy, which was right at the front of the hospital in the Fingers, between the outpatients. We moved that back to the main dispensary earlier in July, on 2nd of July, and that's just returned to normal. All of the telephone numbers are the same, all of the processes are the same, and you should revert to just your normal process. But we want to thank everyone who's extended the latitude while we've been doing that, or we've been undertaking the work. You'll remember this is all to do with installing a new what we call pharmacy robot, or the proper term is an automated dispensing system. So a huge, great system that stores all of the drugs and then finds them automatically, so we can dispense them quickly. So it's a really sophisticated piece of kit. It's the first time we've had a new robot in pharmacy, I think, for about 13 years, and this one came all the way from Italy. And then the last final update is just a little bit of a plea. So one of the key things about trying to make sure the better place is listening to your voice, and I put something in my blog that I sent out last Friday about that. But we've got the Pulse survey, our quarterly survey. This is a very short survey, takes literally about 3 minutes to do, but just gives us a sort of temperature check of the organisation, gives you the opportunity for your voice to be heard, and that allows us to make changes and make things better. So I just encourage you to fill that in. I've done mine. The survey's anonymous. We can't tell who's done it, but it needs to be completed by the end of the month. So that's Wednesday, the 31st of July. So you've got a couple of weeks to do that. And just be aware that sometimes the invitation to do these surveys go to junk mail. So just check that if you haven't done it. I think we've had about 500 or 600 people who've responded so far, which is good. But hopefully we'll get quite a bit more than that. So encourage you to do that. So that's all of my updates. And so I'm going to move us on now to just our first topic and invite Andrea to talk to us about the Celebrating Excellence event. Andrea's got to drop off almost immediately after this session. So if you've got any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we'll ask Andrea about those. Over to you, Andrea.
Thanks very much, Dave. Good afternoon, everybody. So as Dave said, I'm Andrea Clegg. I'm the Associate Director of Nursing and AHP Development. I don't know if people remember last year we had a Celebrating Excellence conference. I'd be really interested if there's anybody on the call that actually attended. So if you wanted just to pop in the chat about if you did attend and what you enjoyed about the conference last year. But the feedback and people's comments from last year were absolutely resoundingly positive. Everybody really enjoyed the day. So Phil gave us the job of doing another one this year. So this year we're going bigger and better. So the date for the conference is going to be on the 16th of October. And just a little reminder for people, it is for all clinical staff, whether they're registered, unregistered, and including our AHPs as well. So it's nurses, midwives and allied health professionals, registered and unregistered. We're going to be at the Post Mill House Hotel on the 16th of October. We've got 130 places this year, so we're going for gold. We were sold out last year, so we've decided to go to a bigger and better venue so that we can accommodate more of our amazing colleagues to attend and share their ideas. The QR code is going to go live next week. You'll see it on screensavers. We're going to do the booking via Eventbrite. And for those clinical staff that are on e-roster, it's just in time so that you can request the shift off and request the study leave so you can attend. So it's all very strategically planned so that as many people can attend as possible. So the day takes a very different sort of format. So we have formal presentations. So if you're somebody who's confident around presenting, have done presenting before, or it's part of your CV and part of your own development that you should do more of it, or your appraisal. So there will be formal presentations. So some things that we had last year was about research and improvement. We had Jack from the physio team who came and talked to us about early mobilisation of ventilator patients in ITU. Some really interesting topics. But if you're not that confident but you've got a really brilliant project that you've done or something that you really want to share with other colleagues, we have what we call speed dating tables. So these are tables where you come, you present your idea, and you've just got a very small group of people at the conference that can listen to what you've got to say, and you can have a bit of a discussion and debate about your project or your idea. We're also going to be having poster presentations this year. So this goes out to people who have maybe presented a poster already at a specialist conference, or have done something really brilliant in their idea and they want to practice and collate a poster. And there'll also be a marketplace. So for those people who maybe have got an idea but have not really got it started yet, the marketplace will be full of people who are within the organisation who can help and support you to get your idea off the ground and maybe present next year. 2025, but just so that you can have a little wander around and talk to all of those individuals. So for me, the conference is absolutely about, celebrating practice. It's a really joyous event, so it's not one of these stuffy formal events. It's really joyous, and as part of that, last year we had some Indian dancing, which was absolutely amazing, and they're doing an encore again this year. We're having the Opus music therapeutic music team coming to do some playing of music for us in between while people arrive and at the breaks. The therapy dogs are coming, but we're always looking for somebody that's got a bit of a talent that we might not know about, because again, this is about not just celebrating your practice, but also celebrating you as a person and as an individual. So we may be looking for a singer or somebody else within our teams that can play an instrument, or just do magic tricks or anything like that. So if we've got anybody out there in the audience, or somebody in your team that would be absolutely amazing and you could release on the day, that would be brilliant. Because for me, we don't just come to work to do our job. We have a whole host of a life outside of work, and I think we've got some amazing people with some amazing talents that we would like to see. So that's it.
Brilliant. So Sherwood's got talent. Almost. Okay. It's fantastic to have these sort of celebration events. It's all about innovation. We just had some of the Dragon's Den presentations actually back end of last week. Amazing number of people coming to present and to do that, and so trying to harness people's ideas and to take those ideas forward is really important. So there's one question in the chat that's just come from Joe. saying, is it open to all members of staff? So she's from pharmacy. Can she take a couple of colleagues down last time? They thought it was great last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're saying clinical support staff. So, and obviously pharmacy definitely fit within that remit. And if they've got anything that they want to present as well, if they've done anything from a national perspective, or maybe the new robot, I think would be really interesting for everybody to see what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a challenge to Joe. Okay, I don't think I'll go and explore the speed dating, but that's just a way of people getting some help and some guidance from that point of view, if I've got that right.
So no, the speed dating is more about if you've done something, you're really proud of it, but you don't want to stand up in front of everybody else. You just want to talk to a small group. It's the marketplace that's the where to get your help. So we can. I'm sure we can accommodate you on one of those tables, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's in my diary. So just remind us where and when it is and how many places we've got.
So it's on the 16th of October. It's at the Post Mill House, and there's 130 places.
And the booking's going to be open soon when we get the QR codes, and we'll put that in the bulletin and put those things around. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, I don't see any other questions, but that's fantastic. Thank you. I recognise you've got to drop off because you're double booked. The only thing I've got on the chat is Joe's also put something about the official opening of the pharmacy robot, which is happening on Thursday, 10 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully it'll all be working if anyone wants to come and have a look at it. Yeah. But you can't get any drugs. That's all I can say. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to move us on. So we've got Mitchell and Natalie, who are going to give us a bit of an update around all things networks and particularly focusing on Pride. Who am I handing over to? Both of you.
Yeah, both of us. Thank you, Dave. My name's Mitchell. I'm the LGBTQ Staff Network Chair, and I've got Natalie with me today, joining me to share some news that they're doing in their department. I think, first of all, I'll just share with everyone, obviously, this month is July, and this is when in Nottinghamshire we celebrate Pride. Nationally, people tend to do it in June. Everyone sees it in June, and people come to me and say, why is it not June? But we do celebrate it in June. There's stuff that's Deb's helped us put into the comms that's been shared during June, but July is when Nottinghamshire Pride is, so we tend to do it as an ICS. This is when other trusts are doing it, and when it's done in Nottingham City Centre. So we tend to celebrate around the same month, so that it's all together, collective in the same area for the community. The month's really important because we recognise all the good work that's happened previously and how we are looking to always improve and change things as we go forward. It's a month where people could be truly themselves and feel safe to be themselves. And I think it's an important month for inclusion. For some people that might not know things that are going on, it's a good educational month to find out where things are happening and meet new friends that they might not meet before without that month. So it's really important for that to continue to happen. We've got a number of events happening at the Trust. We've got Kingsmill on the 16th of July, which is Tuesday between 10:30 and 2:30. We're going to have a stall in the KTC. This will have leaflets and all sorts of bits and bobs that you can grab. And on this date as well, from 1 o'clock from the main entrance, we'll do a march down to the main road. We'll also got a videographer, get some photos and all sorts of bits to share with people. I'm hoping the weather is not like today, because if it is, you need to bring your raincoats, because we still will be doing it, but we might be a little bit wet. We have got, on the note of Kingsmill, I think if anyone from MCH wants to join, they're welcome to come up and join from on this site so that they are included as well. And we have on the 23rd of July, we'll be at Newark Hospital. So again, we'll have a stall with all the same similar stuff on of what's at Kingsmill. And this is from 10:30 till 2. And we're going to do the march slightly earlier at Newark. It's at 12:30 from the main entrance. So anyone's welcome, allies, the community, anybody could join in. It's just a fun 30-minute walk. You never know. That's your count of your exercise for that day. And at the end of the month, we have Nottingham's Pride, which is the Nottingham City Pride. I welcome anyone to come along. We have got a stall as a trust there. I'm still working on the details of what we're going to have on the stall, which always causes me stress. But it's a great event, and it's ever so busy. I did my first one last year, and it was fun. I didn't want to go home, that's for sure. So that's something to share. If people want to come along and get involved, I welcome anyone. You can find Deb, if you'll put the email address for the staff network in the chat for people if they want to reach out, if they want to ask more details. Then we can do it. We've also got the screensavers up, sharing dates of things. So if anyone hasn't written the dates down when I've just said them, they are on the screensaver. I think she's typing now. Quick, Deb. Yeah. And then what I've also done as one to share is that Natalie has come from the maternity services, and she has been working on some posters that I just think is amazing for our patients and people using our services. And this is something, so the staff network, we really do focus on just our workforce, because that's what we're identified for. And Natalie has shared with us something she was doing in her team, in her department, and she's leading on, which I think it'd be great to share with other people. So I asked Natalie if she would like to come along to the staff brief with me. So Natalie, I'll bring you in here.
Hello.
Hello.
It's my first one of these, so hi. So I'm Natalie Boxall. I'm the infant feeding specialist midwife in maternity, and our department potentially at some point might be called perinatal services, which will make it more inclusive, because we want to make sure that all parents are included in their care, and they feel heard and they feel seen. So that's women, that's birthing parents, that's parents who are LGBTQ, parents who are non-binary. So it's making sure that they feel like accepted and supported when they come here. So I spoke to the inclusivity lead over at Leicester, who I'm chatting with at the moment, and they shared an idea from Worcester, which is the Progress Pride flag, and on each of the stripes has something written that people can see that they're included in that area. So what we're looking at in women's and children's is to do it division wide, and we will have a specific flag for each area. So children's will have a list of 6 things that they do, NICU will have theirs, and we will have ours. And it'll just mean that for women and parents that are coming in locally, that they are reassured that the care they get will be safe and that they don't have to explain themselves all the time. The other thing I would say as well is, so it's not just one of those ideas that, you know, a midwife has and then we do it and we haven't asked anyone. We've actually asked for feedback prior to doing this. So we've asked our staff network for their feedback, like Mitchell says, but we've also asked our maternity and neonatal voices partnership, the Haya Arab Women's Group, and Nottingham Centre for Transgender Health. So we've asked women and parents in our communities what they think. And we did have a member of staff that got back to us, and they said, without giving their details out, they said that they felt really reassured seeing this as a staff member, because, you know, sometimes when you're LGBTQ, you feel like everything is heteronormative and everything is about men and women and mums and dads, and sometimes we don't all fit into that category. So it's about making sure that people feel safe when we're caring for them. That's what that's about. And it also looks nice. The one thing I would like, which is really important as well, is to mention Mark Torrey in clinical illustration. All of the team in clinical illustration are excellent, but Mark Torrey has done a sterling job on the first and second draft and got back from leave today and sent us another draft. So I'd just like to thank them. So yeah.
Thank you, Natalie. And it does. He has got it round quick, hasn't he, from leave? And I think as a gay male, I think it is important to see. So if me and my partner, if we was to have children, how do the services work? Who do I go to ask about how do I have a baby? How, as a gay man, do I find how to have a child? It's not the lateral normal out there what's happening. There's not, the leaflets don't tell me. The Googling gets so confusing because it brings up what the United States do, and it's so confusing. And I think something like this in our services will be so good for our patients, but also staff members, because there'll be things that I want to ask about, and I'm sure there'll be other people out there in our workforce that are like, I didn't know that, or I needed to learn that. And I just think I've been to conferences that are wider, and they speak about same-sex parents, how they've asked for the friend to leave, and it's not the friend, it's the husband. And it's how we're inclusive when the patients are there. So I think to have those posters, it gets the conversations going amongst staff to understand why we do this, and also it reassures the patients out in the community that actually we understand and that we're learning. And it's always about learning, and that's what Pride is as well, is to focus those things. So no, I really like them. I'm very happy about them.
I was just going to say, a few years ago, my knowledge compared to what I have now around this area is a lot different. And I must say, one of the things that made me feel more comfortable to talk about it at work was our managers buy-in with this and buying us training. I felt safe, and I felt as a staff member I could be myself rather than masking at work. And so if we can then feel like that's safe with our managers, then we can do that for the women and the birthing parents, and they don't have to pretend or overly explain. So I think, and I would say as well, if you think that you're getting it wrong, it's okay, we're going to get it wrong, just apologise and move on.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. We don't know everything, and even as a staff network chair, but I openly listen and hear people and learn from their experience and knowledge myself always, and that's all that's important, is that you're open and to listen to other people. It's empathy and inclusion and care, isn't it? It's what we do daily. So, no, any questions, Dave?
That's so a few really important bits there. So I think being open and honest that we do get things wrong, and like you, Mitchell, I get it wrong quite often. But also it's recognizing there's lots of stigma still around this, and we can get loads better, can't we, about this? I think the other thing is that we sometimes get wrong, not deliberately, but we tie ourselves a bit up in knots with language, and we don't know what the right language to use is, and sort of, having that advice and help is really important. So nobody's put any questions in the. I'll just encourage them to put some questions in the Q&A. I've got one that I was thinking, well, a couple I've got, but Natalie, what those flags that you're doing and the text, what are we then doing with those flags? Are we displaying them somewhere, or are they all going together, or are they going in the separate areas, or what?
So they're going to be in separate areas. So I'm not going to attempt to share my screen because I don't want you to then get my emails, which would be rubbish. But basically, so for example, in perinatal services, maternity services, each stripe will say something different. So it says, Sherwood Forest Hospitals welcomes everyone. Pregnancy, birth, postnatal, infant feeding, relationship building and birth afterthoughts. And then it says underneath, proudly supporting our LGBT plus women and birthing parents. So then they'll go in each appropriate area. It's really important in somewhere like children's, for example, because you get a lot of young people who access that service. It's not just babies, and parents as well. So upstairs, for example, they make sure they ask teenagers what their pronouns are, so that they feel safe and accepted. So it's things like that, and it'll be area specific, but the theme and the colours will be the same, so it unifies our division.
Yeah, that's helpful. And so I think the other thing I'd sort of flag up is, so we've obviously just refreshed all of our staff networks, and trying to make them a bit fresher, a bit more modern, and a bit more engaging. So that's great. And we've developed one or two others. So we've got the Armed Force Network as well. And we did take we took a paper through our trust board just last week around some of the networks and the EDI impact and all of those things, and there was quite a good amount of discussion there. But one of the questions we got challenged with from the non-executive directors was so what's the impact of the networks? And I think we can give really good examples, but some of what you've just described in terms of how that makes people feel and actually searching for the information, I think it's really important to try and capture that, because that's the sort of information that we need to be sharing back, saying actually this is why it does make a difference. This is the importance of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that comes through, Dave, with the new safe spaces where people can raise stuff, because we see in our surveys that certain categories of people are more prone to physical abuse or violence. Yeah. And I think the networks are there to support them and to guide them to the right people so that they feel safe to raise things. As a workforce, I'm talking, obviously not patients, that would be separate, but I think the networks are there for that, and I've had staff speak to me in confidence and have helped them, guide them, whether that to be HR the EDI team itself. So I think that's some of the work that happens with the networks. And a lot of the network stuff is, as us as leads, is voluntary. It's on top of our day role. It's not a role I do extra to my day job.
Okay, and Debs has put the contact details to get hold of the LGBTQ plus network in the chat. Just a simple question from me. So both you and I, Mitchell, are wearing rainbow lanyards, which I wear mine with pride. So where can we get those from?
Me. But if you email the network on that email address, then you can get them from me. I've got plenty. And when we have our stalls over the 2 sites, I'll have them with me. So they'll be around.
Perfect. There we are. And so if I just refresh myself, so I think I've got this right. So we're doing the march at Kingsmill and Mansfield Community. We're knocking down the CDC. We're knocking down the old hospital at the Mansfield Community. So it's a bit tricky down there. So we're doing the march at Kingsmill. What date was that?
So that's the 16th. So Tuesday the 16th at 1 o'clock from the main entrance.
1 o'clock. Okay, and we're going to walk down to the main road and go around that.
Yeah, we've got the videographers to take some pictures. So
and there's usually flags and outrageous bright clothing.
Yes.
So we'll do that, and then for Newark, it's the 23rd of July, but earlier, if I've got that right.
It is. Yeah, that's at 12:30 from the main entrance, and both days there'll be a stall in the main areas. So people are welcome to come. We have got a screensaver on that just confirms them dates for everyone.
Okay, and the Nottinghamshire Pride event, which we will have a stall at. If anyone's in Nottingham about that, where's that take place, Mitchell? And what's the date of that?
So that's the Saturday, the 27th of July, and it's slightly different this year. It's normally in Hockley, but they've moved it down to Stenton Market. I've not been, so some people might know where this is, but I believe it's further down than Hockley, and it's in a bit of a square. Somebody said to me, I hope they've not got the water fountains on, so I'm with them on that then. I don't want to be treading them through water, but the event will be all through Nottingham City Centre, and people are welcome to come as and when they want. The march starts at 11 a.m. and that'll be up near the Marks and Spencers. So, but people are welcome to come as and when they want. You know, it's a Saturday. It's a
real celebration, and it's
really
a real amazing atmosphere.
No, totally agree.
Perfect. Okay. And Debs has also put the dates in there, so that's helpful. Nobody's asked any questions on that. So that's perfect. So I think I might just move us on to Jean. Slight change of tact here. We're going to be talking about changes to our favourite subject, e-learning. Jean.
Yes, thank you very much, Dave. Not sure I'm going to follow all that really positive stuff, but I will do my very best. So I am Jean. I'm the e-learning development officer for Sherwood Forest Hospitals. I'm going to talk to you today about actually how we book our face-to-face training and how we're going to make changes to that. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm hoping that technology is not going to fail me. I could do with some confirmation. Fantastic.
We can see that if you put it on presenter mode, that'd be even better.
Yep. Still
Perfect.
Good?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So yeah, as I've mentioned, I'm going to talk about a face-to-face course booking system, and it's a new development to streamline the course bookings process for face-to-face training sessions and how staff members are empowered to book. I will pre-warn you, I do have a bad throat, so if I have to stop occasionally, I do apologise. So our Joy and our lovely pets team have done some work around our mandatory training attendance, and we lose around 4 full sessions of mandatory training every single year due to non-attendance. So it's about 315 people every single year who just don't turn up to that training, and that's put on a massive expense and a huge amount of resource and planning and administration that goes into that. So there's a couple of solutions. So do we add more sessions at additional expense and additional resource, or actually do we look into the reasons why and think about how we can empower people to make sure that they attend those sessions? And that's part of what I'm going to talk to you about today. So we're going to look at our Sherwood Academy as a mechanism for booking face-to-face training. The reason for that being that it's already software that exists. It will give us some improvements. There's no additional funding being required, so it's making the most of our existing resources. And it should be things that people are already familiar with. So our current process, in case anybody's still wondering what I'm talking about, is our course bookings system, which is on the intranet, and it's available for anybody to go in and make a booking on. It does have some limitations that I'll touch on later. We also have a QR register system that certain trainers use in order to populate registers through the Sherwood Academy. So they're the two main mechanisms for you getting your name down for a course, basically. So the user accesses the system via the staff intranet. They book the place for themselves. They can double book, triple book as many mandatory sessions as they wish, and we do see that people do that. The topic lead can print a register. Staff need to sign that when they attend. The register is then sent off to another team. Again, with the QR codes, we do sometimes have issues. There might not be mobile signal. There may not be Wi-Fi data available in sessions. People might not think it appropriate to have brought their mobile phones. Things of that nature that do cause us problems. So the new process, we have put some screensavers out. There's a few banners kicking around that you might have seen. We are going to make some changes. So the new process will be that you'll log into the Sherwood Academy. You'll visit the face-to-face training area, select the course that you wish to book, fill out your details and attend or cancel as you see fit. So for topic leads, what they will find is that they can manage their own course dates, and their own courses and capacities. They can keep the course information up to date. It will send out automated reminders if a room changes, for example, or if a course is not able to go ahead. You can share Teams links. You can confirm the attendance directly in the Academy, and that pre-populates the register for our OLM team, who will then input it on ESR. So it reduces a huge amount of admin burden on our facilitators and our trainers. And again, there shouldn't be any need for a QR register that we've identified so far. This horrible slide is just to show you that this is how it used to work. These were the steps that used to be involved, and these are the steps that are now involved. So as you can see, we've taken out a huge amount of latency, a lot of redundant steps in that process, and what we've tried to do is really simplify it, make it as easy as possible for everyone. So the benefits for people who actually offer training and facilitate sessions, there is less admin involved. So there's no need for paper registers any longer. You can update the attendance directly into the Academy. You don't then need to send a list off because that will be populated for you. The user themselves can get their own certificate. So if you're, generating your own certificates, you're sitting and handwriting them out and sending them out to people, that will all be done for you. There's no duplication of bookings allowed. So when it comes to mandatory and statutory sessions, that capacity will be protected for people who are available to attend. And we think that's really important. There's a waiting list function if anybody does wish to use that. So we can add people to a session if it's slightly overbooked. We can automate that process as well. What we're hoping is that what we'll see is once people are more empowered, they'll get better reminders. So you get a reminder of the room, the location. You'll get multiple reminders, and same as I say, you'll get updates if a session's changed. What we're hoping is that this will improve not only attendance but also mandatory compliance rates as a result of that. With users being more empowered. They can also cancel themselves off that session, whereas at the moment they're going to have to pick up the phone or just not turn up. That's something that they're empowered to manage themselves. So again, for a trainer, you'll know exactly who's coming, or you should, in the best possible scenario, when your session happens. And it's based on the internet, so it's not restricted to the actual intranet itself. So that sits behind the trust firewall. You have to be on a trust device in order to access the intranet, which then it restricts a whole host of our staff members from booking on as well. So that's opened up to everyone with a Sherwood Academy account. So the benefits for users and staff, I've touched on some of these already, but it's easy to access. You can book when and where is convenient for you. You don't need to be restricted to a trust device. You can do it from, I'm not saying we're going to be in the pub on a Saturday night, but maybe we'll do it from there. Go wild. There is a waiting list function. The calendar invites and notifications are much more user-friendly, and the email reminders are automatically created, so it doesn't require admin intervention or someone sitting there hand typing emails to say, are you going to come to this session? This is where it's located. It's all done for us. If you require any support, you will start to see these changes filtering through in the next couple of weeks. The e-learning team are always available for you. The best method of contacting us is through the e-learning email address, which is on screen now. That tends to be the best way. It's how we manage our workload, and we can see if there are any issues that recur multiple times. We can keep a note of that. So that is the way that I would recommend you get in touch with us. If you are responsible for booking training for other people, so I've talked about staff members being empowered, I'm more now thinking about administrators perhaps who book their staff and then book their shifts into health roster, for example. Do please make yourself known to the e-learning team, and we'll be in touch with you as to how that is then going to work. So that's everything from me. There will be guidance documents. They will be available on the intranet. We're in the process of writing those just as we're going through some testing. Same as I say. That should be it. We should start to see changes coming through. We'll be taking a phased approach. So courses that happen less often and have less volume, we'll be doing those first, and then culminating in sort of your mandatory training sessions, probably October time would be my guess. So yeah, that's it from me. So thank you very much for your attention. And if there are any questions, I will happily take them.
Seems very straightforward and makes perfect sense. I can't see questions, but I encourage people to do it. I think moving it onto the internet is a huge step forward, so I welcome that. So can I just check, so I can see Deb's, but can I just check those slides might go in the bulletin this Thursday? So we've got, yeah, she's giving me the thumbs up. So we do that, and we might put the link to where to get help into the chat, if we can just rapidly do that. I guess, while nobody's got any other questions, just one question from me. Like always, we change, we try and make it better, but sometimes we make certain aspects worse. So when are we going to review all of these changes, and how do people give their feedback?
So there's a feedback form at the end of every course, and that we're a little bit militant around it. So we will force you to fill in feedback before we allow you to download your certificate. So I would encourage people to add in that feedback. So far during the testing, it's all been great. We obviously know that once we start to add people into that system, things do get very different. And there'll be weird and wonderful things that we haven't thought of yet, of course. But generally, it's going to be a really positive change, and it's been really well received by sort of trainers who currently are under quite a big admin burden. So yeah, hopefully it should be good.
Great. Okay. I did my Oliver McGowan training the other day. So yeah, it's even the acting chief executive does the mandatory training. So still got no questions, which is that's all right. It all makes perfect sense, I guess. So probably if nobody's got any questions, Debs, are we going to put that? We'll put it in the chat just as soon as we get that link. And then I'll probably just start to draw this to a close. I guess just thank you all. Thank Andrea who's dropped off, but thank Mitchell, Natalie, and Jean for the updates and giving us all of that extra information. It's just a rumor that it is actually summer, and as I look out the window, I hear it will get warmer and the rain will stop eventually. Just a thank you from me for all that you continue to do for us and for our patients, and just encourage you to complete that pulse survey and get involved in the celebration events, the Pride celebration, and note those changes. So if there are no other questions coming in, I'll probably just end it there. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.